let's be real for a second. Nobody thinking about workplace conflicts, let alone investigations. It's like that awkward family dinner nobody wants to attend. But here's the thing, just like that family dinner, sometimes you just can't avoid them. And when these situations arise, knowing how to handle them effectively is crucial. Workplace investigations are essential for maintaining a fair and productive environment. But what exactly goes into conducting one effectively? In today's video, we'll break down the key steps, best practices, and common pitfalls of workplace investigations. Whether you're an HR professional, manager, or business owner, this guide will help you handle sensitive situations with confidence. So first things first, what exactly a workplace investigation? Imagine it like detective work, but instead of a magnifying glass and a deerstalker hat, you're armed with company policies and a whole lot of empathy. Essentially, it's a formal process used to address complaints, conflicts, or allegations that pop up within an organization. Think of things like harassment, discrimination, theft, those sorts of things. Basically, any behavior that could potentially violate company policy or even the law. Now, the main goal here isn't about playing gotcha or finding a scapegoat. It's about gathering all the facts, assessing the situation objectively, and then working towards a fair resolution for everyone involved. Think of it like a puzzle. You need all the pieces to see the full picture. But here's the thing about workplace investigations. They can be a bit like walking a tightrope. If they're not handled carefully, they can backfire spectacularly. We're talking legal liabilities, damaged reputations, and a workplace where trust goes to die. Nobody wants that. That's why we're here talking about it, right? All right, so you know what a workplace investigation, but how do you know when it's time to actually launch one? Well, it's a bit like knowing when to call the doctor. If you're unsure, it's probably better to err on the side of caution. Generally speaking, an investigation should be initiated whenever there's a credible complaint or allegation. This doesn't mean you need to launch a full-blown inquiry every time someone steals a stapler. But if there are reports of harassment, discrimination, safety concerns, or anything that could create a hostile work environment, it's time to take action. Think of it this way. A single snowflake might not seem like a big deal, but a whole bunch of them can bring everything to a standstill. Similarly, even small issues, if left unaddressed, can fester and grow into much larger problems down the line. And here's the thing, you can't always rely on people coming forward directly. Sometimes, concerns come in the form of whispers, rumors, or even anonymous complaints. Now, I know what you're thinking, anonymous complaints? How reliable can those be? And you're right to be cautious, but here's the thing. Even if an anonymous complaint seems a bit out there, it's important to take it seriously, especially if it involves serious allegations. Remember, there's often a reason why someone might not feel comfortable coming forward directly. It's our job to create an environment where people feel safe speaking up, even if it's not in the most straightforward way. Okay, so you've determined that an investigation is necessary. Now what? It's time to channel your inner Sherlock Holmes. But remember, even Sherlock had Watson to help him out. Workplace investigations are rarely a solo mission. Step 1 is acknowledging the complaint. This might seem obvious, but it's often overlooked. Acknowledge concerns promptly and seriously. Think of it like this. You wouldn't ignore a fire alarm, would you? Next, plan the investigation. Define the scope and gather your tools. Choose a neutral, trained investigator. Conduct thorough, objective interviews. Consider physical evidence like emails and documents. Review all information and determine if a policy was violated. Take appropriate action from training to termination. Document everything to ensure transparency and legal protection. Think of it like flossing, not glamorous, but essential. Chapter 4. The 4 pillars of a fair investigation. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds very official and serious, and you're right, it is. But here's the good news. While workplace investigations require a certain level of formality, they don't have to be cold and impersonal. In fact, the most effective investigations are those that are conducted with fairness and empathy at the forefront. Think of it this way. You're not just dealing with policies and procedures, you're dealing with people's lives, their careers, their reputations. So how do you ensure that your investigation is conducted fairly? Well, it all boils down to 4 key principles: confidentiality, impartiality, thoroughness, and timeliness. Let's start with confidentiality. Just like you wouldn't want your medical history plastered on a billboard, the details of a workplace investigation need to be kept under wraps. This means limiting the information to those who absolutely need to know. Remember, gossip is a workplace's worst enemy. Next up, impartiality. This one is all about checking your biases at the door. It's human nature to form opinions, but as an investigator, your job is to remain as neutral as Switzerland. That means considering all sides of the story, weighing the evidence objectively, and avoiding any preconceived notions. Then there's thoroughness. Remember that puzzle analogy we talked about earlier? Well, this is where it really comes into play. A thorough investigation means leaving no stone unturned. Interview everyone involved, gather all relevant documentation, and don't be afraid to ask follow-up questions. And last but not least, timeliness. Justice delayed is justice denied, right? The same principle applies to workplace investigations. The longer an investigation drags on, the more stressful it becomes for everyone involved, and the greater the risk of rumors and speculation spreading like wildfire. So be efficient, be organized, and strive to resolve the issue as quickly as possible without sacrificing thoroughness. Chapter 5. Avoiding the investigative potholes. So far, we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about what workplace investigations are, when to conduct them, and the key principles for ensuring fairness. But just like even the most experienced drivers can hit a pothole, even seasoned HR professionals can make mistakes during workplace investigations. So let's take a look at some common pitfalls to avoid. First up, the art of procrastination. We've all been there, right? Putting off unpleasant tasks until the last possible minute. But when it comes to workplace investigations, procrastination is not your friend. Ignoring complaints or delaying action only makes the problem worse. Remember that snowball effect we talked about? Next, we have the confidentiality breach. This one's a biggie. Remember all that talk about discretion and keeping things under wraps? Well, a confidentiality breach is like spilling coffee all over your best white shirt. It's messy, it's noticeable, and it's really hard to clean up. Then there's the classic blunder of jumping to conclusions. We all love a good mystery, but it's important to resist the urge to play detective and make assumptions before all the facts are in. Remember, a good investigation is like a good cake. It takes time, patience, and the right ingredients. And finally, we have the documentation disaster. I know, paperwork is nobody's favorite thing. But trust me, when it comes to workplace investigations, proper documentation is your best friend. Failing to keep thorough records of the investigation process is like trying to build a house on a foundation of sand. It's just asking for trouble. Chapter 6. Wrapping it up. Investigations for a better workplace. Workplace investigations are rarely easy. They can be complex, emotionally charged, and fraught with potential pitfalls. But they're also an absolutely essential part of creating a safe, respectful, and productive work environment for everyone. Think about it this way. A workplace where concerns are taken seriously, investigations are conducted fairly, and appropriate action is taken is a workplace where people feel valued, respected, and empowered to speak up. By following the steps we've outlined, embracing those key principles of fairness, and steering clear of those common pitfalls, you can navigate the often murky waters of workplace investigations with confidence and integrity. Remember, it's not about playing gotcha or finding someone to blame. It's about understanding the situation, addressing the issue, and creating a workplace where everyone feels safe, respected, and heard. And there you have it, your crash course on workplace investigations. Remember, this is just a starting point. Every workplace is different, and the specifics of an investigation will vary depending on the situation. But the principles we've discussed today, fairness, thoroughness, and a commitment to creating a respectful work environment, those are universal. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more HR and workplace management tips, and share it with your team. If you have any questions or want us to cover a specific topic, drop a comment below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.